It was a humid evening on August 15th, 2023, when Jake "Bulldog" Carter stepped off the plane in Georgia, his combat boots hitting the tarmac after months overseas with the U.S. Army. The air smelled of pine and rain, a stark contrast to the desert dust he'd left behind. He'd inherited his grandfather's sprawling 10-acre homestead in Pine Hollow Subdivision, a place nestled among rolling hills just outside Atlanta. The property wasn't just land to Jake, it was a lifeline, a piece of his soul with its weathered red barn, a shimmering pond, and a mesquite pit where family stories had been told for generations. But the welcome home wasn't warm. While he'd been deployed, the HOA president, Linda Grayson, had orchestrated a nightmare. She'd sold his land out from under him, citing unpaid assessments and trumped-up covenant violations, grass too lush, a fence his grandpa built decades ago. The foreclosure debt? A measly $847. The deed now sat with Grayson Enterprises, her shady shell company. Jake's blood boiled, but his wife, Mia, his unshakable anchor, had already been fighting the good fight, gathering evidence with the Georgia Attorney General's office. Investigator Hayes, a man with weary eyes and a voice like gravel, had joined their call that night. "Mr. Carter," Hayes rumbled through the laptop, "you're saying MS. Grayson foreclosed while you were on active duty." "Yes, sir," Jake replied, steady as a rock. Mia sat beside him, her fingers dancing to keep the shaky cell signal alive as storm clouds gathered. That's when the barn door exploded inward, splintered by Linda's boot. She strutted in, pearls gleaming against a floral pink cardigan, flanked by two burly enforcers in gray polos stamped with HOA compliance. Her icy blue eyes locked onto Jake and Mia, a smirk slicing her face. "Spreading lies again, Jake?" she purred, her voice dripping with venom. Hayes's face froze on the screen, witnessing the trespass live. Jake's military training kicked in, threat assessment, calm under pressure. "Linda," he said, voice low, "you just busted my door. You're trespassing. And you did it in front of a state witness." Her smirk faltered, but arrogance fueled her next move. She'd called local deputies, claiming Jake assaulted her. They cuffed him, marched him toward a cruiser, while Mia played the door cam footage Linda's kick captured in crystal clarity. The cuffs clicked off, the sergeant mumbling an apology, but Linda's smug grin lingered, thinking she'd won. Then the lights died. A cell jammer killed their signal, plunging the barn into darkness. Linda's plan to isolate them was clear, but Mia flipped on the generator, its roar cutting through the silence. She launched Hawk, their thermal drone, its hum a silent guardian above. Neighbor Tom, a ham radio buff with a voice like warm whiskey, patched the neighborhood into the chaos, turning it into a live broadcast. Linda's guards blockaded the street, turning Pine Hollow into a war zone. Her men ransacked the barn, a flimsy inspection excuse, while two others slunk toward Mia's truck to plant evidence, drugs, maybe a weapon. Mia's thumb hit a button on her tablet, triggering a custom pepper fog canister under the dash. White smoke billowed from the truck, choking the goons as Hawk's feed caught every gasp. Tom's voice crackled over the radio. "Folks, we've got to show those clowns are coughing up their pride." The neighborhood listened, jaws dropping. The storm hit hard, rain hammering the tin roof. A flash flood nearly claimed David Holt, the HOA treasurer, sent by Linda to a doomed culvert. Jake waded in, pulling David and retired Colonel Sam to safety. Gasping on the muddy bank, David shoved a waterproof zip drive into Jake's hand. "Take it," he rasped. "It's the real ledger embezzlement, kickbacks, everything." Linda had tried to kill him, using the storm as cover. Back in the barn, Mia plugged the drive in, revealing a spreadsheet of crimes. Forged liens against Jake's grandpa post-funeral, bonuses for SCRA violations, a Pine Hollow project budget to oust him. But the real bombshell came from Grandpa's old deed. Comparing it to the subdivision map, they found a surveyor's error. 50 feet of Linda's prized pool and headquarters sat on Jake's land. "They built on my property," Jake whispered, a grim smile spreading. Mia compiled Operation Pine Haven, a file of videos, audio, and the deed, sending it to Hayes, Jag, and reporter Sarah Lane, who'd been sniffing out HOA corruption. The wait was agonizing. Porch lights flickered on, a silent rebellion. Hayes texted, "Help's coming. Stay put." As dawn broke, Engines rumbled. National Guard, sheriff's deputies, U.S. Marshals rolled in. They breached the blockade, surrounding Linda's mansion and the HOA office. Deputies seized files. A court order voided the sale, restoring Jake's title. Linda, panicking, floored her SUV out of the garage, tearing up her lawn, only to crash into a ditch. Marshals dragged her out, mud-streaked and snarling, as neighbors cheered. Jake stood at the barn's edge, meeting her hate-filled glare. "You sold my land while I was deployed," he said. "So I had the military repossess your empire." Weeks later, Linda plea-bargained into prison, her board scattered. A new HOA, led by Colonel Sam and Jake, rewrote bylaws with transparency, leasing the disputed land for $1 per year to keep power in check. The barn transformed into Operation Pine Haven, a hub for veterans and kids, healing the community's wounds. One evening, Jake and Mia watched the sunset, kids laughing by the pond, a young Marine welding inside. The fight was won, but the scars lingered. Now, tell me, what do you think? Was Jake justified in turning Linda's own tactics against her? Or did he go too far with the drone and pepper fog? Should the HOA have that much power over private land? Drop your thoughts, like if you're Team Jake, and subscribe to join the debate. Let's hear your take.